The Unemployment Insurance Fund, now that we've settled, has extended temporary COVID-19 relief for employers and workers to August. Initially, the relief was scheduled to end in June, but some businesses said that they needed the funds to stay afloat. At the same time, the relief scheme has been plagued by reports of fraud by some businesses. Let's get more on this now and speak to the UIF Commissioner, Teboho Maruping, who joins us by Skype from his office. A very good afternoon to you, Mr. Maruping. Let's begin with the incidences of business fraud. You've had in the last, over a 2-month period, you got about 4,000 plus instances where companies were applying for deceased employees. What's happened to those people? What action has been taken?
Yes, we've received, this is not the only issue that we have, but the 4,000 deceased cases, we're engaging the employers to understand what exactly happened. We've also sent these cases to our forensic team to investigate and see whether it is a fraudulent claim. And we've also, the other key thing that we do, we freeze the reference numbers of these companies where we pick up deceased cases, because we are not yet certain whether it's a fraud case or it's a mistake from the company. So we freeze it such that there's no payment or processing happening in that account until the company explains what exactly is happening with the deceased cases and any other case that may be sitting with the company.
And that's part of the reason why you've now strengthened the vetting process, if we can describe it as that, around the TERS payments, the relief that is specific to the COVID-19 pandemic. You've warned that that is going to come with additional delays, but you're already having delays. So how long a delay will this be?
Yeah, let me just clear. We are not having delays. Actually, I think that there's a misunderstanding about delays and backlog, and also cases that are outstanding due to companies not submitting credible information for UIF to process. Absence of declaration is one area that is causing delays. If you are not insured with UIF, we cannot pay, because there's no employer-employee relationship with you and the employer, and hence those cases, we hang on to them until we confirm with SARS. And then some of them we confirmed with Home Affairs. Like the deceased cases, we confirmed with Home Affairs. So I don't think there's delays in our systems. Those are the main things. But I also, Tembegile, cannot run away from the fact that there were some issues in the beginning.
And that's why I want to ask you this, Commissioner. Excuse me for cutting you off. You say there are no delays, but when I put out word on social media that we'd be speaking to you this afternoon about all the latest developments in the past week where UIF is concerned. I want to read you a tweet here from Barry John Veyman, who says he wants to know when UIF money will be paid out. Have not received anything. He says he's not received anything, and he's triple-checked that all his documents are submitted correctly. So in cases like that, what would be going on?
Tembegile, a simple example. When you applied for your car, at the bank where you applied, you complete all the documents you submit, and they say to you your documents are complete. It doesn't mean your application is approved. There could be things that are not properly completed in your application, which is often the case, as I was mentioning earlier, that oftentimes it's declarations that the person in question has not been insured. But each case is unique. You might find that some of the companies, how they've submitted their file, they didn't follow the steps that we've given to them, because a CSV file, you have to complete it in a particular manner so that it can be automatically processed. That's the concept behind that CSV file. So that's some of the key issues that people sometimes struggle with, is the declarations and sometimes the CSV file. The CSV file we've simplified now. We even put an easy aid on our website, so it should be easier for companies to apply.
Do you have an up-to-date number of the people who would be affected by that part of the process?
Which part of the process, Tembegile?
The ones who, yes, have submitted paperwork, but as you say, it's not quite approved yet, because at a very procedural level, you're either going through checking veracity of the documentation or whatever else is going on at a process level.
At this stage, we had just about over 500,000 employee details that still had a number of issues with them. I mean, just a case in point, earlier on, we were talking about additional controls. We've introduced an additional control for us to confirm. Now we've introduced CIPC in the process and the banks as an additional control. So if you submitted to us your CIPC number, and when you check it against CIPC and it comes out incorrect, can you see now where the delay comes? It's not now, it's more on the quality of data we receive from the applicant. If the quality of the data that we provide is not at the level that it should be, of course, there'll be a delay, and people tend to think that that delay is caused by UIF. But it's caused by the quality of information they've given us, that it does not meet the requirements for us to process. And the banking validation that we do, once it's done once, we do it once, you don't have to do it again. Because we verify the banking details, then the next payments are easy. I mean, just last week, we validated over 60,000 bank accounts, and we're able to pay just 1.2 billion rands in one day. That's the speed at which you can process if we have everything that we require to process.
Okay, well, jumping around a bit here, but I want to go back to what started off our conversation, the number of fake, if you can call it that, applications which were put in by companies for sadly deceased workers. Over 4,000 were found between April and May. The other issue that you're facing is around invalid ID numbers and that sort of detail. Given then the uncertainty around whether some of this is done deliberately or if it's by accident, will you actually ever know if these were deliberate attempts to defraud you, do you think?
Oh, yes, that's for sure. I would know. As I was saying to you now, that these deceased cases, we've already referred them to the forensic auditors who are looking at them. Once they've done their investigation, we would know the status of these cases. The other thing that we are doing now, we are busy with the procurement process to bring in auditors to audit every single company. So every company will be followed up, would know if the people that they applied for, are they real, are they bogus employees, because some of them they'll declare and say we have a relationship. But when you go to the ground of the companies where we are going to be confirming if a relationship existed, if there's documentation that you can show, where you're paying a salary to this person, for how long, is it true what you say you've given to us? That's what our auditors are going to be doing. That will be appointing in the next 2 weeks. So we are definitely going to know at the beginning, I'm sure of that.
And it's one thing to deal with elements of attempted fraud that come externally, right? But how concerned are you, because you're dealing with large sums of money, about the potential for some of the people in your UIF offices to be drawn into some of the fraud that people are trying against UIF systems, especially at this time when you've got such massive volumes of people applying for to access funds?
You see, Chamagili, that's the main reason why we automated this process, because we wanted as little as possible of human intervention in the process, such that at least you can track behind, you have an audit trail that shows you who changed what. If maybe a banking detail has changed, in the audit trail, you will see who changed the banking detail. If someone changes the UIF reference number or add an employee from UIF, the audit trail will tell us, and we'll be able to take the necessary disciplinary steps to keep things like that up. But for me, that's the reason why we introduced an automated process, to get rid of those possibilities in the process.
Teboho Maruping, UIF Commissioner, thank you for your time this afternoon.